I need to constantly remind myself that it's not as serious as it is. So, of all of the little tics and oddities that I carry with me, the only one I'm really diagnosed with, that I actually have a clinical diagnosis for, is anxiety. And I think that informs the majority of how I engage with things. Primarily, and attached to this perfectionist complex, makes it hard for me to move and make things happen. In fact, when I chose my name, Celerity Dust, I chose celerity because by definition it means swift, free of movement, free of apprehension, and it is something that greatly speaks to me as an ideal. It's something that, in being called that, drives me toward being that, you know? So I have to remind myself that it's not the end of the world when things don't work out. I like to think I'm pretty good with minor changes. When it comes to itinerary, I feel as though I'm very good at pivoting, but it's not necessarily that so much as it is believing that if things don't go the way that I wanted them to go, that these small issues will mount and become something dense and heavy that I cannot cut through. Like overgrown brush. And I do wonder how different it is for me to exist the way I do versus the way others do. That people who don't have anxiety or have different flavors of it, I wonder what is unlocked to them that I have to put extra effort in order to engage with. I was watching somebody stream the other day, and they just were making a VTuber model. They were making a full live 2D model art. They were doing the layers, they were doing all that such, and I asked them, oh, how long have you been doing it? Oh, this is my first one. This is my first one, and I thought it'd be fun to do. I was shocked, I was surprised, because it is such a big endeavor and so much could go wrong. With all the help in the world, you can have people at your back pushing you on, and you might not succeed, and they weren't scared of that. They weren't scared of that possibility of failure. It became an ideal for me. It reminded me somewhat of a self I want to embody, right? That sense of play, that sense of, is it really that serious that if this thing doesn't work out, it's going to ruin the rest of your life? And I talk a lot about self-help on the channel. I talk a lot about the things that I'm working on and the things that I feel like I can impart, but it's all a work in progress, right? All the yapping, all the talk doesn't stop the fact that I still carry weight, and that it is something I need to walk with, and something I need to learn how to shift and hold differently to be sustainable. I need to do away with this idea that I can make something perfect, that perfection is even an ideal, that it is not just an excuse for me not to do things. I think perfectionism is really interesting in that way because in pursuing perfect, you don't release anything, you don't do anything. I think it's not a great crime to settle every now and then. Sure, chase your dreams, go after them doggedly, you shouldn't stop for anyone but yourself. That being said, sometimes our best isn't enough at any given moment. Sometimes, no matter how hard we try, how hard we push ourselves, it's going to come up short to somebody else's standards. And that shouldn't demean or diminish the work we put into something. And if you're your worst critic, you can do with being kinder to yourself. Sometimes I think about what it would be like to have my advisor, the person proctoring this entire project, over my shoulder telling me if things were good or bad. And I really sincerely wonder if they would be as hard on me as I was. I think a great comfort of being in academia, being in school, of growing up being graded is the external validation, is knowing that even if it didn't meet your standards, it met the standards of the person who mattered. And nowadays, we don't have that anymore. We don't have a person who quote unquote matters anymore. It's only us. And if we're the only person who matters when we make things, when we're not satisfied with that thing, we've failed. And we accrue these failures, and it's not fair to us. We have an overly harsh critique over here. We should be emboldened now that we have no one looking over our shoulders, not even more scarce, more afraid. I really love school, but having spoken that aloud, it does make me think that schooling and school has broken us in some way, looking to somebody else for satisfaction instead of being satisfied ourselves is troubling, isn't it? It is a common saying nowadays that school doesn't prepare you for life. It prepares you to be in an office. It prepares you to be in a workshop. It prepares you to defer to your betters, to have this concept of a better, and then serve that. School doesn't really teach you to be self-serving, or to be kind to yourself, or to engage with yourself properly. So as much as I love school, school is overly simple. As soon as you leave, things get so much more complex because nobody's telling you how to live your life. Maybe you still have some, and for some of you, that direction might be annoying, but you should be grateful for it. The directionless are having an even more confusing time. Who in this life do you incredibly impact? Who is counting on you at the moment? If you have people who count on you to be something, to do something, that in and of itself is motivation. That is something that pushes you. But if you're by yourself and still tearing yourself apart over what could be done better, you're not serving anyone, least of all yourself. The mindsets we cultivate and we build have to be self-serving. Even if it's in the service of others, it needs to be sustainable. It needs to be something that makes life easier for you. If you are getting in your way with negative self-talk or something like that, it is impeding your happiness, and that mindset doesn't serve you. So I'm trying to deconstruct that things matter, that everything matters so much. I'm trying to look at the world and decouple this anxiety of it ending, having anything to do with me. Let's be honest, that is an incredible amount of self-importance. Ding, 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 10 minutes.